And we are officially live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another rendition of Lucha, your weekly CMLL Post-Show here at BC Wrestle Pod. My name is Mikey. I am El Jefe of BC Wrestle Pod. I am the face that runs the place. I run the ones and twos, and I do a whole lot of other things behind the scenes. And as you can see, it's just me this week for CMLL. I am still missing my co-hosts and also who are both off doing things. So physically, it's just me here. But of course, in the chat, I got Primo Agent Lo-Fi, who's going to be hanging out for this one. And this is a fun show to talk about. So before I get into all of that, to make the intro really quickly, do the housekeeping, if you will. YouTube, Twitch, and Kick is where you can see us go live most of the days of the week. And YouTube's main channel, our YouTube's main channel, houses the edited versions of these lives, so you can go and check those out. We also are on social media if you're looking for something a little bit more manageable, like our report cards, our previews, our predictions, clips from these episodes. And you can pick a social media site and follow us at BC WrestlePod because that's where we at. We also have a merchandise store for you. Link in the description to that in the chats all over the place we're streaming. bcwrestlepodshop.fourthwall.com. And we also have a coffee bot that is there to help us continue to pay for these streaming services and these pay-per-views to bring you the wrestling content that we love to talk about and that you hope that you love to talk about too. But no financial pressure because we know that times are tough right here and we love you for just being here. So with all of that out of the way, we are going to get into this week's episode of this. So me and Primo, we're going to get this thing started. So this was a very special and fun episode to cover for CMLL, as that was the theme of, well, I mean, it's it's the Los. So I was just like, here we go. This is getting crazy. So we got a lot of action to cover, and let's just jump into it. So this show in particular, not only was this the Leyenda show, which we love here, but it was also the final match in the retirement of El Sanigo, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. But we also had some stakes. We had some championships on the line. But let's just jump into it, shall we? So we kicked off Viernes Espectacular with this match. This is the levels de Amazon. So this was a really fun match. Of course, you had Los Infer, the women, that being Valkyria, Dark Silo, Zuxis, and you taking on the team. I might have misspoken, but this was just incredible to watch. Versus Persephone and T. This was a really fun match. We have seen a combination of these women over the last couple of weeks. Of course, you know, Persephone being our most newest champion, winning the CMLL Women's Championship back from one Mercedes Monet back at the beginning of this month for the all women's Amazona show, which was also fantastic. And I had a good time with this. However, given everything else that we had on the card, this one was felt a little out of place. And honestly, we could have put it in a different, no hate to all these women, but I agree with you, Primo. This was a pretty decent opener. It didn't really need to be on the card, and I kind of agree. Given the fact that the majority of the night was spent to celebrate Els, I felt like this match in particular felt a little out of place. Now, had we put this last week or even next week, then I would have been okay with it. I still thought it was a pretty fun match, but I do agree with you in the sense that it didn't really need to be here. And for me personally, it just felt a little out of place given everything else that we saw on this particular episode. But I still liked all the action that we got. I thought this was pretty fun for everyone here. And yeah, but I do agree that it felt a little out of place here. This is some really fun back and forth between all the women, but definitely out of place. And then, of course, it would be Las. Excuse me. I just want to make sure. Oh, wait, hold up. Breaking news. Sorry, I just had a holy moment. CMLL just announced Shelpa versus Solar for the anniversary show. Damn, that match is gonna be on and popping. I might have to check that out a little bit later. But no, Agent Primo here is always going to be giving us the news, even when it happens in real time. Love that, my friend. I really, really do. I'm nerding out right now for that match. Sorry, going to be a bit. No, listen, that is okay. And honestly, that is why we here at BC WrestlePod do what we do, because we are passionate about wrestling in general. But I know, Primo, you are passionate and you know your stuff when it comes to lucha libre, and you are awesome for that. But yeah, Las Infernales pick up the victory here. So that was Valkyries and you. And again, this was a decent match. I had a fun time watching this one, but it did feel a little out of place. After this match, though, is when we get into kind of like the quote unquote official start of everything Leyendas related and El Santanico related, because we end up getting well, let's break this down, shall we? So this is La Copa, and this is a cyber match. So this is, well, it starts as a 3-on-3. Y'all know how these rules work at this point, but we had the team of Euphoria and Averno. So one composition of a faction versus the other composition of the faction, which is Guerrero. So again, this is por la Copa and a cyber match, which means that it is technically 3-on-3, but every man for themselves when we get down to it. This is just a lot of fun. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about this before we get into our third match of what happened in the evening, but it was really fun to see the quote unquote homages in everyone's gear to El Santanico, which is a lot of fun to see. And honestly, this was also another fun match. Now, combined, all these fellas have been here for a good chunk of time. And we love our elder statesmen here in CMLL. Honestly, it's really, really fun to watch it. I am a big fan of Ultimo Guerrero. I love Averno in this match. I loved a lot of people in this match. This was a lot of fun. Primo, this was a great match. Love seeing Averno come out with his OG mask, which was a Ultimo Guerrero Bucanero split. Ooh, okay. That I really did like that design, and now that I know the context of it, it makes it even cooler. I love it. Again, this was another fun match for, again, for the Leyenda show, but this was really, really fun. They didn't rely as much on nostalgia in this one, and it was for the better. No, honestly, I mean, there was the homages, but then it was just like, all right, let's fight this out. And that is exactly what it did. And that's honestly what it needed to be, because when we get into our next match, that is where we have the reverence and the nostalgia for it, given the fact that the person that is retiring and is centered in the night is centered around was in that match, but we're gonna talk about it. This was a really fun match. Again, lots of good action. Also seeing Tarzan Boy back was really cool. Yeah, so Toscano was really cool. So we kept going back and forth. Eliminations were happening. However, it would end up, well, technically it would be Los Les, but it would be Averno who would pick up the victory here and be the winner. This was a lot of fun. And honestly, I think this was a really smart and fun place to put this particular match. Now, before we get into the next match, I do want to talk about something that I thought was really cool. So prior to our third match, which would be the retirement match for El San, we had him come out, but adorned on the ramp were my translation I think is okay, but I want to make sure, and maybe Primo can fact check me here, but the way that they were saying it is that those were his quote unquote students. And I was just like, damn. So it's like there was a lot of students of El Santanico. At least that's what they were saying, because I heard a student. And so my brain is like, oh, students, wrestling school, got it. Or teacher in some capacity. That was really cool. El Santanico comes out, he talks about, he gets on the mic and he talks about his career. His family is there with him. Okay, that's what I figured. Los was created by Santanico. Yeah, so it was really cool to see everyone there who had who essentially, yeah, were part of it. But yeah, El Santanico talks on the mic, talks about his career. His family is there with him, and really just a legend in, the sport. Yep. I was going to say, from my understanding, Uno, which is very fantastic and why this is a big deal too. Listen, I love learning about this stuff. I may or may not have done some more research prior to watching this episode this past weekend, and also making sure that, I kind of know what I'm talking about. But I thought the whole segment was really beautiful. It's really crazy that we're only in year 2 of covering CMLL, but so much has happened, and it's really fun to get to be a part of this with, friends and other people who really love lucha libre. But when all is said and done, then we jump into our third match, which was a 3. So this is also the retirement match for El Santanico. So of course this had him involved in this match, and he was taking on Atlantis and Blue Panther. Listen, you have Blue Panther in a match, and immediately I'm like 10 out of 10 stars. Dave Meltzer can dive off of here. No, I'm just kidding. No, Blue Panther immediately gets like 10 stars from me. Love Blue Panther. Like, we love Grandpa Panther up in this piece. This was a really fun match. And again, these are the guys, or these are some of the guys, and they continue to prove. And they showed up here where it's just like, yeah, we've been doing this forever. Let's show these kids why we've been doing this forever. This was a really fun match. Of course, since this is a triangular, this is essentially, yeah, it was fun. Okay, let's talk about it too, because I didn't want to say it, but I'm glad you did. But I also agree with you. I understand why Atlantis was in this match, but not gonna lie, as soon as he was gone, this match was a blast. No, I agree too. I like Atlantis. I really do. Atlantis Senior, if you will. I think he's cool. I really do like watching him wrestle. But yeah, once he was eliminated and we got one-on-one between. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Primo. To me, it feels like Blue Panther is like, if not the top, but like one of the top baby faces, or if you will. Sorry, I used the dirty word. I said baby face instead of technical. I apologize. I am a fake Lucha fan. No, but to me, Blue Panther is like, I consider right now in CMLL like one of your big top technicals. And with the fact that El Santanico is like the number one Rudo, it really did feel like a true technical versus Rudo match. And they both rocked it and they both killed it. I had a blast with that one. And you know what? I'm really glad that Nico did win this match. Of course, he is Rudo Uno. So therefore, final match, he gets to win, and now he gets to ride off into the sunset and have a good retirement. And, continue to just do stuff behind the scenes and train new wrestlers and not, he's retired from in-ring performing. So this is great. Okay. Blue is all reliable for the most part, not top, but an easy pop for crowds with the right matches. And I agree. Blue Panther is really fun. But again, El Santanico wins his retirement match, and now he can ride off to the sunset. So this is a really fun one. Alrighty, so next up, okay, so this is a three. So we saw these three go at it at Amazonas All Women's Wrestling Show at the beginning of the month for the Copa Irma Gonzalez. Stay tuned for like 2 weeks because that video is coming very shortly. I would like to thank Primo for giving me suggestions and things to watch. I am slowly writing the script. I'm on spring break starting next week, so I can finish the script and make this video to come out sometime in April. I love it. So yeah, let's just talk about it. So almost like the last match, as soon as Magnifica was gone, this match became good. And honestly, I kind of liked it that way. I felt like the true, like, down to brass tacks match really was between Marcela and Princesa Sukit. And I pronounced it correctly because that is how I listened to commentary and I learned it and I made sure to pronounce it. So I made sure I said it correctly. Thank goodness. I'm not going to lie to you, Primo. I thought Marcela was going to lose her hair in this one. But at the same time, I'm just like, all right. No, but once Magnifica was gone, Princesa and Marcela definitely had a blast. This was a fantastic one. Honestly, this was great. This was a lot of fun. And oops, sorry, I'm getting a text message. All right, we're good. Sorry, nothing. This was a really fun one. They honestly should have just went with Marcela and Sukit in the first place. I think that would have felt big. I agree with you. While I did like this match by the end of it, I do think, no shade to the Mag, but I think that had she not been involved, I mean, she won the Copa Gonzalez, so I feel like, okay, you know what? She won. She don't really need to be in this hair versus hair. And we could have just had a straight one-on-one match. But for what we got, though, this was a really fun match, and Marcela picks up the victory. Princesa loses her hair, and she's a badass bitch because she didn't wait. She took those scissors and she started chopping off hair, and then the clippers came out. I was like, Princesa is a badass, and I love her for it. Also, there's a really fun picture of her backstage with John Moxley and Wheeler Yuta. They're all bald. So I was just like, girl, you gonna be good. I love it. It's fantastic. This was fun. Again, we could have had a one-on-one, but honestly, I am okay with that, to be honest. So that was fun for sure. Alrighty. So from here, we get into our next match, which is this is an Octagono Infernal. So this is 7 Máscaras y one at stake here. And this was a lot. So we really, really got to dig deep into this one, right? So I have my notes on my phone. So we're going to make sure that we get everybody correct, because if we don't, I'm going to be very upset with myself. So in this match here, no, Absolutely. And we're going to talk more as to why this was fan freaking tastic as well. This was just a bop and a half, as the kids say. So I had a blast with this one, but let's get into this. So in this match, of course, you had Polvora, Virus Jr. Uno, Max Star, Hombre Bala Jr., Calavera Jr., and okay, I got it out. So we're good. We're doing good, y'all. We're doing good. No, this match ruled, okay, because again, whoever lost this match would either be, losing their mask, or in the case of Virus, he would be losing that hair, which is crazy to say. This was really, really fun. I had a blast. This was great. Everyone just did amazing things. And of course, a couple of these people we have seen over the last couple months be feuding with each other with masks and things like that. So we got some repeats in here as well as some other people. But man, this match ruled. Everybody was just flying everywhere. We got near falls, we got high flying spots, eliminations were happening. The pace for this, I will say, was really, really solid. Normally, with some of these matches, not necessarily in CMLL, but a lot of the times in wrestling in general, when you have these big multi-person elimination style of matches, they tend to drag a little bit. For me personally, I felt like this match in particular didn't feel like it overstayed its welcome. I feel like it wasn't long. It didn't take forever. Like, I didn't feel like, oh, okay, I need you to hurry up so we can get to the next part. But this was really, really fun. So when we get down to brass tacks, eliminations are happening, people are getting gone, and we get down to the final two of Max Star and Max Star and Polvora. We get a good back and forth between everyone, and ultimately, Max Star would pick up the victory here. We, of course, get our demasking of Polvora, and if I was listening correctly, this is Max Star's third mask that he's won in a style of match where masks are on the line. So that's really cool for him. But nah, this was a really good match. This had a good mix of everyone. Of course, as always, I was rooting for the Calaveras because they are fantastic. We love them. This was really, really fun. And I thought this was really solid work from everyone. And this definitely was a really fantastic match of just people doing what they do best and doing lucha things really best. So again, Max Star ends up winning and taking his mask. And if I was right with the translation of what I was hearing, this is his third mask, which is really, really cool, and really enjoyed that one. So before we get into our final two matches, I would just like to take the time to thank everyone for watching us here at BC Wrestle Pod. And if you like Lucha Libre, you can continue to check us out here every Wednesday night for CMLL goodness. And looking at the summer, there's going to be a lot of crossover, especially when I talk about it at the very end of the show, because we got some of the CMLL folks headed on over to Canada this weekend. But more on that in a little bit. Alrighty, let's get into our final two matches of the night. The first one being, so this is for the CMLL Trios Championship for my English native speakers. And of course, we have the challengers of AEW's The Death Riders. So that is Daniel Garcia, Wheeler Yuta, and unless I'm mistaken, this is technically the debut in Mexico, Rina Mexico, specifically for Jon Moxley. I watch too much wrestling, so he may have been in Mexico before, but we got the full trios team of Moxley, Yuta, and Daniel Garcia. And of course, Marina Shafir is accompanying them. And they are challenging the champions of Sky Team, which is, the team of Mascara and Neon. Okay. See, I distinctly was like, I swear Moxley has been here before. But again, I watch a lot of wrestling and sometimes everything tends to blur together. But no, I appreciate you telling me. Okay, so with that, let's talk about this. So I actually did enjoy this match. I really, really did. Of course, I'm glad that Sky Team won. Spoiler alert. I thought this was a pretty decent match. Yeah, let's just talk about it. So I think as it progressed, it got better, but I was just sitting here and I was just like, what is happening right now? The beginning of this match was bad on both sides. I was like, okay, I know y'all are sizing each other up. You're trying to figure out a rhythm and everything, but I was just like, damn you guys, what is up? But I do agree with you. As the match continued, and by the end of it, I did end up liking it once they started going. This was great. And the crowd was still very happy that Mystico won, which is fantastic. Again, I talked about it last week. I love that Mystico is now dual contracted. He is primarily in CMLL, but he also is an AEW World Trios champion, which is cool. But this was a really fun match once we got going. But the beginning was like a car crash and not in the fun way. I'm like, gentlemen, I need you to get it together because we're gonna be in for a rough one. But as the match kept going, it did get better and it was ended up being a really really fun match for sure. Did have a little bit of a delay start, as you said, Primo, at the beginning, but ultimately this ended up being really fun. And like I said before, Sky Team retained the CMLL Trios championships, and this was a really solid match. I thoroughly enjoyed this one once we got to the end of it. Alrighty, so before I get into the final match, though, this is my obligatory part where I say check out the links in the chat below where you can find our social medias and our merchandise, if you will. I apologize for spamming that in the chat, but that is the best way for me to get that out. And this is your last call before we get into the main event, and then we do our outro for the night. So finally, in the main event of that show, we get, so this of course is for the CMLL World Heavyweight Championship. This is the challenger, the alchemist of CMLL, Hechicero, taking on the champion, AEW and CMLL's Claudio Cass, because he now has a dual contract with AEW and with CMLL, Claudio, and he loves it. I love this. This match, I really enjoyed. I really, really did. We talked a little bit about this last week. Claudio loves this stuff. He loves wrestling. This is what he lives for. And it definitely shows when he links up. And I feel like to a certain extent, Hechicero also feels that way too. This was great. But yeah, I agree. My only gripe is with CMLL having too long of a show and people dipping at the end. Yeah, people started to dip. I was like, you guys, what are we doing? It's not over. But I agree. Well, let's talk about that. So before we get into the match, I agree with you. I think had we taking out the first match with the Amazona, we could have kept it to a really nice, solid 2 hours and people wouldn't have dipped early. But no, this match ruled. This match delivered. I thought this was a really good match. Definitely, probably one of my favorite matches of the night, speaking wise. And Hechicero is the new CMLL World Heavyweight Champion. Now, I did do my research. This is only Hechicero's second time with this championship. His first reign was back in the day, not too long ago. It was still in like the 2010s, but this is his second title reign. So I'm interested to see. Well, I mean, it's CMLL, so how long champions hold the titles for isn't really a big thing like it is here in the States. But I'm excited to see Hechicero's second title reign as CMLL World Heavyweight Champion. But I'm excited to see what other stuff Claudio Castagnoli can get into. I agree. I think the Octagonal Infernale was also my second favorite of the night. Those two matches definitely are. I mean, the whole show is a fun to watch, but those are if you're limited on time and you can only watch a few matches, those two are definitely the ones to watch for this particular episode. But yeah, back to what I was saying. I'm very excited to see what Claudio does next here in CMLL. I don't know why, and I think it wouldn't fit. And Primo, you could tell me if I'm absolutely bonkers, but I would like to see, I don't know, maybe Claudio and Flip Gordon go at it. I don't know why. Don't ask me. I just think it would be kind of fun. But but with Claudio being dual contracted, there are so many people I want him to fight, like Flip Gordon. I don't know if him and Soberano Jr. could mix it up. I would like to see Claudio and Titan go at it because I think that'd be cool. Or even Claudio and Templario versus Claudio would be very interesting. I just want Claudio to fight everyone is at this point. But I'm also excited to see what Hechicero's going to do with this championship. And yeah, I thought this was a really fun match to end the night. And on paper, that has been, no. Please tell me he's not injured because if he's injured, I'm going to cry. Is it good news? Well, first, is it good news or bad news? Am I going to throw things at my screen or am I going to clap and give tears of joy? Oh no. Anyways, while Primo delivers the news, let me get into my final thoughts of this show. Damn it. Well, that not only does that dash any CMLL related stuff, but that also dashes my dream of Titan going to Best of the Super Juniors in New Japan this year. Gosh darn it. Oh, best guess is okay, 6 to 8 weeks. That's not too bad, but damn. Man. Sidebar. It's not just in CMLL, but within the last 2 weeks, across all the wrestling that I've watched, there have been so many injuries happening. I know it's I know it's a part of the business, but damn, spring even last year, spring, everybody was getting hurt left and right. And I was just like, guys and gals and non binary pals of the internet and wrestling, we cannot be hurting each other. But no, that's a bummer for Titan. Hopefully, he's not out for too long, but definitely he is going to be missing New Japan's Best of the Super Juniors tournament. So I hope that CMLL sends a representative. If it's not Titan, I'm gonna be honest. I kind of want to see Soberano Jr. be in Best of the Super Juniors, but we'll see because we will start getting the reveal of the participants starting Saturday, and then at Sakura Genesis, we're gonna get the full Block A and Block B participants. So that's going to be fun. But overall, my final thoughts about the Leyenda show. I thought this was a really fun show. I really did enjoy a lot of it. My only downsides is, again, the Amazonas match at the beginning was fun, but we could have put it on a different night and we could have, packed the card at a good 2 hours instead of like almost 3. Ooh. Magnus just officially became Black Tiber, so guessing he'll there. Honestly, that'd be really good. I just want a CMLL representative for Best of the Super Juniors. And then, of course, I'm interested to see who AEW sends for them as well, if they do, but really fun. But yeah, had we put the Amazonas match in a different night, we could, and minus the bad start to the Trios Championship match, I think those are the only downsides I had with this. But I had a really fun night. And again, this was a really, really fun night for everyone involved and a really fun retirement for El Santanico. And that is my final thoughts on this show. Before we go, though, let's get into the preview for this next week's episode, or this Friday's episode of this. So this should be really, really fun. And so let's just go through it, shall we? So we're kind of back to our regular scheduled programming, as I call it, for CMLL. So we are back to all the regular stuff. So that is really, really fun. So let's get into this, shall we? So we kick things off this Friday with the pre. So this is gonna be good thoughts. Really good show overall, just not great. Agreed. And stoked for Friday with all CMLL talent. Honestly, again, we're back to regular scheduled programming, so it's all CMLL talent for this show, which is fun. So again, in the Primera Lucha and Relevos Ida, we have Blue Shark and taking on and Sangre, and so that should be a really fun opening match. Then in the Segunda Lucha, you have Magia Blanca and our Torneo de Escuelas winners, Tornado and Rey Pegasus, taking on In Jr. And so that should be a really fun match as well. Lucha, so the third match, you have Max Star, Jr., Futuro versus Polvora, El Coyote, and El Cobarde. So that should be a really solid match as well. Then we get another Relevos Increíbles de Amazonas. So they are towards the middle of the card for this one. We get Marcela and Scotty taking on Princesas India Su and Olympia. So that should be a really, really fun match. And I believe India is returning from Japan because I did see her in Stardom for a little bit. So that was a lot of fun. And if I remember correctly, and I have to relook at it. I think I read somewhere that India won the the CMLL Japan title while she was there. Anyways, that's beside the point. I still think that match should be really, really fun. Then in the Lucha semifinal, and Clario and Gordon taking on in Magnus, so that should be really fun. And then in the main event for the Lucha Estelar, you have Junior, Neon, and Esfin taking on the team of Sano Jr. and Los Hermanos Chavez, so that being Angel de Oro. And so it should be fun. Yep, India got the title back. Okay, listen, I don't brag, but I am happy that I know my stuff some of the time, and I'm not just talking out of my butt cheek, so to speak. So I'm really happy that I got that one right. So really, really fun stuff. Before we go, though, I do have to, talk about, because it has been announced, and I mentioned it earlier in the show, that CMLL is going to be all over the place in the next couple of weeks. So, of course, this weekend, we have Ring of Honor and Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling's Global Wars Canada and Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling's first pay-per-view of the year, Uprising. And Primo, you mentioned it before, and I agree with you that MLP is just a bunch of talent that they grab together, and it's not even a solidified roster. But I'm excited about Global Wars Canada and Uprising because we are getting some CMLL folks involved here. So Mascara and Barba are going to be a part of Uprising. So that should be really, really fun. And then a little bit later in April during WrestleMania weekend, we have Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling's Multiverse show as part of Slamfest weekend. in which it's going to see Stardom, TJPW, I believe, New Japan Pro Wrestling, CMLL. They're all going to have a crossover show. And it was announced that Eagle and Dono Jr. were going to be a part of those events. So that's really cool. I got nothing good to say about MLP booking luchadors. No, you're right. And I'm not going to argue because I actually agree with you. But I will say, though, I am excited to see what Misa and Soberano Jr. are going to get up to at Slamfest during WrestleMania weekend. So it should be really fun. But yeah, that's going to be it for me tonight. I'm hoping that next week I get popped back. So it's not just me and Primo. I want to say thank you for you being here, and I apologize for you just having to deal with me. I am not the brightest when it comes to my Lucha Libre stuff, but I appreciate you talking CMLL with me because this has been really, really fun. And I look forward to this every week. But that's it for me tonight. Before I go, though, we do have two more things happening this week. First and foremost, on Friday, 7:30 p.m. Pacific, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, is our TNA post show. We will be talking about the go home edition. So we'll be talking about the Thursday, March 26th episode of TNA. And we will also be making our predictions for TNA Sacrifice, which is the penultimate pay-per-view before we get to our next big four pay-per-view for TNA in April, which is Rebellion. So I'm excited to talk some stuff with people. So that should be fun. And then on Saturday, we wrap up the week at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern, as myself and Benny will be talking about Ring of Honor and Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling's Global Wars Canada. So should be very interesting. But that's going to be it for me tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. Remember, from all of us here at BC Wrestle Pod to you at home, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay iconic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We'll catch you Friday for TNA. But until then, sayonara, adios, and until next time, peace.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another Vibe Tribe production. What's gonna happen next time? Well, you're gonna have to tune in to find out. But until then, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, and as always, make sure that you keep the good times rolling. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time.